Welcome back, YouTube. And first, I want to say I appreciate all of you guys being patient with me as I finish up my master's. So I wanted to just thank you guys for your understanding, and I want to just kind of address some of the things that we're going to see happening here with some of the macros. I know that we recently had the tariff sell-off, and we saw that across the board with the crypto market and the stock market. And I want to point out that one of the things that we talked about or have been talking about for the last few years is the alignment of the kind of like the crypto and the stock market, right? And we're talking about like the crypto version of the S&P 500. I made a post about that and linked in an old video where I discussed this, and we're seeing this kind of evolve right in front of us. Because we're seeing like a divergence between the typical crypto cycles, the 4-year cycles that we're used to, and we're pretty much going to have like this one continuum of the markets here. And the crypto market is kind of going to take on the stock market trends, so that you can kind of see it's not going to be like these 80-90% sell-offs anymore, at least for some of the main coins here. You'll probably get some of those like meme or flash in the pan coins, and you're going to see some of those huge dips and swings. But for the most part, you're just kind of going to see the markets reacting to what happens in the macros, and kind of like this continuous trend upward here. And I think that's what we're seeing overall here, as far as we're getting some evidence as far as what the alignment between the stock market and the crypto market. So obviously, let's take a look. This is the dip down. Pretty much went slightly below out of range here for some of our fib numbers. But what we are looking at, I wanted to kind of point out, let me zoom in here. I want to kind of point out where we're gaining traction at, right? So pretty much we bottomed this zone out here, and this is where we closed at, because this is a wick, and obviously we didn't close down there. It was kind of like that flash crash, and then obviously it closed back within range here. And this is kind of where we're hovering right now. And I made a post on the, I believe on X and on YouTube as well, that thus far this year, we've recovered from this range 100% of the time, right? So you can see that we've been here like in August, we've been here in July, June, May, let's see, March. So we've been here several times this year, and we've been able to kind of go up and retest like that mid 20 range and the upper 20 range. So somewhere between like 28 cents and around 30 cents. So we've done this thus far 100% of the time, this range. And really, I like when from an investment standpoint, I do the same thing with Bitcoin, especially for those of you who've been here for a while. Anything typically below the 200-day average, it's going to be, it's been historically proven to be difficult to not turn a profit, right? The 200-day average is going to be this red line here. So when you see things, see if I can make it, there we go. When you can see things typically below the 200-day moving average, normally you're going to be able to get it's typically like a really good time to make an entry, because obviously it's not, that's below the average that it's been for the last 6+ months. So you'll see that we have like the divergence here, because sometimes you'll see like, oh well, the short-term indicators, the 14-day is crossing the 72. So isn't that like a death cross? Well, yeah, you can see the huge pull down that you're going to have here. So you can take that into consideration, what's happening overall in the markets. But one of the things I've been talking about, even like the Discord, is getting some of those staple companies as far as foreign stocks, and also getting into a lot of these coins here when you see the opportunity, because nothing has changed long-term wise as far as for coin count and using that as your multiplier for turning profit and your exposure to certain assets. But the short term here is obviously going to be, okay, what we're going to have to kind of prepare for is the alignment here, kind of what I started the video off, between the macro events and the stock market, right? Because a lot of times people, I believe like the tone of the market here is the people that came into crypto, especially within like the last 5 years, they weren't necessarily stock investors. They kind of started out in crypto. So they're kind of used to more so the crypto cycles. And as the crypto becomes more mainstream, you're going to see a divergence away from that. And the community is going to have to get prepared that, yes, every time there's some macro event, you're going to see a reaction overall in the market. And if historically speaking, we'll see if things kind of smooth out, but crypto typically overreacts, right? You'll see a more aggressive sell off in crypto than you do in the stock market, right? And normally that's because most people are in crypto are still, trying to do necessarily quick flips, and it doesn't necessarily have that long-term exposure to the magnitude that the stock market does. We're getting there as far as building ETFs and putting it in long-term portfolios, but you're going to see the panic sells reflect to a stronger degree in crypto than you would in the stock market. Now, once we these ETFs and like with Dogecoin, utility, and all these things kind of take root, you're going to see it's going to have less of an effect. But right now, you're going to see an extreme version of that panic to some of the short-term catalysts here, or shock value is a better word, that you're going to see a lot of that reflect more overall in the market here. So that's something that the community is definitely going to have to get used to going forward as crypto becomes more mainstream. Now, price wise, we're looking at, because there's some buzzwords here been floating around about Dogecoin getting utility, and I have not changed my stance on that. As far as for the longevity of the coin, the community of the coin, and even price range, that's still going to be our best bet as far as for Dogecoin being used for utility. I'm going to make an update video to that because I have to do some more research before I put anything out. But I've been hearing whispers that there's going to be a new avenue for Dogecoin to be used, and ultimately that's going to be in the best interest of the longevity of the coin, because that's what it's used for. Yes, the inflationary is going to turn into deflation over time here as the coins go out, especially with inflation of the dollar, if that's what you're going to compare it to, you're going to see that flip here. But when you have the coin being used for its purpose, i.e. like currency, or being extracted and not just necessarily like sitting on exchanges, but also just being removed from those wallets and not returning back, or not being sold every time there's a slight peak or downward trend, then you're going to start to see more stability in the coin, and you're going to see higher prices. You're going to see like that steady growth that a lot of the community is looking for. So my stance on that has not changed at all, regardless of where that utility comes from, whether that's X or another platform or ETF. It's all the same, which is putting strain on the overall coin supply, right? So once you start depleting that coin supply, then supply and demand metrics take effect here, and obviously the less that's available, or the less that's coming back onto the markets during panic times, then you're going to see again like that stability and those price increases. So that has not changed at all. I do believe, based off of the two metrics that we pointed out, which is Doge being below the 200-day moving average, and us being at the bottom of this zone, in addition to us recovering from it again 100% of the time thus far this year, I do believe this is a great price point here. And like I said, I do believe that crypto in general is progressing. I believe this, in addition to obviously, like some of the main coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, I do believe crypto in general is progressing and moving forward. And I think that as we grow and evolve and develop these avenues, a lot of these opportunities here and prices, like I said, we're going to have to kind of evolve with it, because there will come a time where you're not going to see these extreme sell-offs or these opportunities here to kind of buy these assets when they dip down. Now, obviously, with the stock market, you can obviously take advantage of that as well. But when you are looking to increase your position or coin count, this is to this extreme. I'll say you're not going to be able to, because like I said, it'll kind of mellow out a little bit. But what the comparison between like waiting for crypto winter or waiting for a period of time where the asset chops down 80-90% and coming in there, those days I believe are coming to an end, if they haven't ended already. And again, we've talked about this for the last few years. This is something, for those of you who've been following me, this is something we've expected. But what that means is you're going to have to become more of a sophisticated investor. And when you see turmoil or short-term noise, like a tariff scare, and these assets kind of dip down, you want to increase your coin count, or that you want to get a greater exposure to a certain asset, again, not just Dogecoin, any asset, this is going to be the times that you have to take advantage of, especially when you are not happy with your current position, because those opportunities where it goes down and you have 2 years to kind of decide what you're going to do and invest a little money here and there, things are going to be different now going forward. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're investing and looking at these assets. Overall, that is my update for Dogecoin. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you're still holding, your thoughts on going forward, where you think we're going to close at for this year. I'm going to do that as well. That's going to be one of my upcoming videos as well. I'll give you my thoughts as far as where we're going to close at and what I think is going to happen next year. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you guys in the next video.